that we need to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you can't hear us well on Instagram, YouTube is better audio quality.
Well, no, YouTube's better than Facebook and Instagram, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's picking up the mic that's in there.
Okay.
But anyway, we are in a new setup. We have 2 separate mics here. So hopefully we sound pretty decent.
I don't know. We'll see.
Now you're actually talking into a mic when before you would just talk to
What do you
plain
mean?
air.
No, I talk into
You
the
would
mic
half
that
the
was on
time
the
talking to the
stand.
mic.
Shut up.
So now you're holding the
Whatever.
mic.
Okay. What are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today? Selective buying. But first,
but first, our sponsors.
our sponsors. Today, From the Ground Up podcast is brought to you by Hot Rocks.
What is Hot Rocks?
These are Hot Rocks for your reptile enclosures. They have 2 settings, off and 200 degrees.
Do a lot of people use Hot Rocks?
Yes. Sold at your local Petco if you're interested. hotrocks.com/bake your animal.
Okay. And heat lamps?
Well, as always, Reptile hats and, all that stuff. Check them out.
Yeah. Someone's going to believe that these sponsors are real one day, and it's going to cause a lot
how
of
else would we
confusion.
get money to, support this podcast?
Oh, okay. Because we really support Hot Rocks.
Yes.
And Petco.
Yes.
No.
And incandescent light bulbs.
Okay.
Hey, Ian, by the way, he said hey on Facebook.
Oh, hi.
And then, like we said before, you'll probably hear us better on YouTube.
But that person said it sounds good on Instagram. So.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So we're talking about selective buying
Selective
today,
buying. So what we're talking about is not just buying any old animal, taking the time to wait for, the perfect animal for your project.
And we were supposed to talk about this last week.
We were supposed to talk about this last week, but really we just talked to
Evan.
Who
just said, "What's up, peeps?" So today we're actually going to talk about it. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So I was just thinking about I was looking at corn snakes and basically just looking at this specific clutch that what's his name? That Walter Smith from Walter Smith Creations put up on his Facebook page.
Is he a big guy?
Yeah, he's the one who I showed you that blood red.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, holy shit, that's by far the best blood red pied-sided corn snake that I've ever seen.
Okay.
And so therefore I was like, saw that she laid a clutch and then decided, that is going to be, I'm going to buy one of her offspring for sure. Like,
just because it was the best you'd ever seen.
Yeah. So it's about waiting, just not for the genes of the project, not just buying, I want this kind of gene in my project, but you want the best example of every gene.
But you also have to have the money for the best example of every gene.
But the thing is, it will be worth it. It may be, corn snakes is a different story. Maybe we're talking about $50 difference between having the same genes and a great example of that gene.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's much worth it in the long run to have the best example of each gene rather than just buy what is available at the time. Especially now, if you're buying now, it's going to be, everyone already picked through the clutch.
Right, this isn't the time to buy.
So it's like if you're buying, especially corn snakes who brumate in the winter,
right?
For the most part, no one's going against that. I mean, some of the big breeders will do year round, but that's, have to do multiple rooms, all that stuff. So at this point, if they're selling, it's either holdbacks, which, I mean, it's always great if you can get someone's holdback. That's going to be a good quality animal that they were originally going to hold back to breed.
And then just decided to sell it.
Right.
Okay.
So, which is great, but then again, most of the time you're going to be getting the opposite, which is the leftovers from last year.
The little runs.
So that's why you really want to, and it's tax time. So,
what does that mean? Well,
a month early,
okay.
So people start getting money, and then that's when a lot of people buy up animals, but that's when all the good animals are already gone. So the fact is, you should wait around until clutches start being laid. Maybe they start hatching very early, in a month or so, maybe a little bit less than that if it's a corn snake. Ball pythons are going to start laying eggs. I mean, they're probably hatching around now as well. So this is really the prime time to get pics of litters. I mean,
for the future,
pics of clutches. Yeah. So that's really what you want to do, is get the pic of the clutch.
Okay. So you the blood red that you saw, do you show interest in it now, even though she hasn't laid anything yet? Do you reach out to the person now to let them know?
Yeah, I mean, I reached out and said, hey, what do I have to do to make sure I can get a baby from this clutch?
Do people allow holds? Do many when they're selling?
It depends. Like, I don't have a personal relationship with this specific breeder, so it is hard to say, hey, I'm going to.
Why not though? It's guaranteed money, right?
Put down deposit on this animal. Yeah, I mean, he just didn't work that way. He just said, hey, stay tuned to my page. He's probably already got people on deck, ready to pick through the clutch who are better customers, than I am.
What's the difference between?
You let your friends go first. Also, you never know when someone's messaging you for
you could just stuff. Be some They're random person.
Yeah, there's always some runaround bullshit. There's always so many people messaging you about snakes who never end up buying snakes. So
okay,
that's essentially.
So he didn't want to allow you to like reserve.
He doesn't.
One.
Not that he didn't want to allow me. He was just saying that.
Have you ever done it in the past where you've reached out to someone you don't know well and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure." Like, I'll
not necessarily. Honestly, they usually have friends who are already on deck to pick through the stuff.
It's not fair.
I know. Isn't that a shame?
you want the best too.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you just got to build your reputation over time.
So then what is the next step? Just you keep watching to see when she lays, or?
Yeah, I mean, if you do the math, she'll lay probably in like 20 days or so, but he won't start selling animals probably until a few weeks after they're laying, till they're feeding well.
So you can't reserve. Then you can put your name in it?
Well, no, it's when he posts it for sale. At least that's how he's doing it.
So. Okay, so he's not allowing any sort of like pre-sale talking or
no, not really.
Okay, so you gotta wait and just watch when he puts it for sale.
Right.
Interesting.
Otherwise, I mean, you definitely want, if you have personal relationships with people, to be able to get in on clutches first. But
right, I understand. You help your friends out, but also if someone's like, "Hey, I'm ready to give you money," like I would take it. But that's just me.
No, I know. And I think it's hard because I would be like, hey, I'm ready to put a deposit down on this animal. I didn't go that far as to say that, but maybe I should have.
And maybe also he just wants to see how it comes out before he,
I mean, he's going to get the first pick of the litter. That's the whole reason why you breed snakes in the first place.
And so he doesn't know how many, he's going to want to keep back and that kind of stuff. So maybe that's why he's waiting till, actually they hatch and everything like that.
Right.
I mean,
and with the blood red, it's kind of hard because even in a clutch with a really nice female, you're going to get a, from the spectrum of really good example like. to decent example, low expression, high expression, just like in a regular pied and like ball pythons. You don't know if it's going to be 95% patterned.
Right.
Or 90% white. You don't know. They're all over the place. That's kind of how the pied-sided works in corn snakes. But for the most part, I mean, there's got to be some type of like polygenic trait that you can breed for. The fact is that what you really want to see is how dark of red she is. So she's like super dark red. So blood red, it's been bred over time to be more dark red.
Why? I like the brights. I like it.
Well, no, red. Yeah, but it's cool when it's pied-sided because it's dark red to a white color. It's
just more contrasting.
Good contrast. Just looks really cool. So that's like a thing to where she's very dark red. So she's going to pass on dark red babies, but they may be low expression, high expression.
Okay. Yeah. How do they consistently, do they just keep going darks to dark, like putting darks to dark to make it, to get to her who's darker?
Reading
you can't read and listen at all. No. Do they just keep putting dark?
Right, yeah, the darkest to the darkest. That's why you may want to see a clutch grow up, or you may want to, from babies say, I think this one has the most potential. Obviously, hold that one back or hold the couple back
to mix those.
Right. So you can further your own project. So you're always ahead.
Right.
The person who's breeding is always ahead. So at that point, I want the best examples so I can be that person who's getting ahead. So. And
I just like
quite frankly, I'm younger, so I have a longer lifespan than someone. All the corn snake guys are like 50 years old because corn snakes,
they're not the hit.
They've been around for so long, yeah. So I can start my own project, and by the time I'm breeding it for 20 years, you know, it will be cool. So Evan was saying that his new thing is gray banded king snakes, which he was talking about even at Carpet Fest, going to collect some gray bands in West Texas.
What is special about those?
Gray bands are just super cool, and they come in all different expressions as far as, you know, just really gray with like explosive orange, like that basketball orange. So it's just a good looking snake, but some people there's some with barely any orange.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly gray with some black and some white. But and then there's also, you know, high orange, big bands, stuff like that. So, and people really like localities as far as, they pinpoint like to the exact GPS location to where this gray band was found in West Texas.
Like bring a compass along with them
essentially. So yeah, so people are really into locality with that, which is, it's a little ridiculous, but they're just variable in all types of the way. I don't think it really has anything to do with locality. I don't think it matters that much, but
if you're one GPS coordinate off,
that's the way they like to do it. So
are they?
I mean, they're super cool.
The same body type as your Mexican black king snake?
Just like most colubrids, yeah, similar body type.
Okay.
But they are a little bit more difficult to get eating. So
why?
Just because they're mostly, just like all king snakes, they're mostly, you know, snake eaters or just other reptiles.
Okay, so trying to put them on rats is just not what they're
used
to.
Going straight to rats, maybe a little bit difficult, but you know, it's here in West Texas and they're awesome. You know, you can.
So most people are going out and getting them out the wild rather than trying to buy them from someone.
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's some really good gray band.
Wouldn't they?
For me, the only reason why I'm not really gun-ho on doing it is that there's so many people in Texas in this area that are doing it.
Right. You would.
So
just
it's
be
like
one of the
I can just easily, if I want to buy them, I'll buy them. But otherwise, I don't want to be.
But does it make sense to buy them if they're a lot in Texas? Does it make sense to buy it? Or
it depends where you're. If you want to start your own line, then I understand. You know why you would want to go wild collect, and then why you want to have a certain locale and stuff. And yeah, of course, but. So yeah, I mean,
I feel like if there's abundance in your area, why not? I mean, there's also disease-wise and that kind of stuff that you don't.
Yeah. I mean, you don't necessarily want to just bring a wild-caught animal right into your collection, but I mean, for me, I want to go catch a Slowinski's corn snake because I don't know anyone who is breeding them. Not to mention, they breed them and call them Castanis, which are Castani is a national forest in Louisiana. So all these Slowinski's corn snakes seem to be what they say Castanis, which meaning deriving wild caught from the Castani National Forest. But I want a Texas locality. Okay. I want from like Sabine National Forest. So I want a different that I know is going to be a pure Slowinski's corn
from right there.
Yeah, so that's the only reason why I want to collect that, and I just want to collect a pair. And you know, there's thousands and thousands of people who collect gray banded kings, but no one collects these. So I would like to have them just so I can breed them, and we never have to get them out of the wild.
Should read
again,
these before they go away. Yeah. Sorry, Evan said certain locations produce certain looks. GBKs are predominantly
those gray banded king snakes, lizard eaters.
Lizard eaters. Ooh, gross. But any person would try to get them to eat rice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rice. They eat rice.
Yeah. I mixed mice and rat in my head. Yeah. But you would try to get them to eat.
You would have to scent them and stuff like that. I mean, and it's not the biggest deal because honestly, it's going to most of the people or most of the corn snakes, different colubrids are going to be lizard eaters. As far as corn snakes won't readily find pinky mice in the wild. What they're going to find is anoles. So they would rather start on baby anoles or small anoles. So it's much easier to get. And now with captive breeding, you usually don't have to start with anoles, but that's just generation after generation after generation. That goes for any snake. You know, the more generations are bred, the easier it's going to be
to get them on what you want.
Right.
But if Evan's going to go find one in the wild, there's going to be some transition time for him. Or would he, for someone who's going to go get one out the wild, would you suggest that they start feeding on what the animal is used to or start immediately with rats?
Like you're not going to have a choice. if you have the choice, that's amazing, and you give them mice
Go
right
get
away.
some lizards. Yeah.
But most of the time, you're not going to have that choice. You're going to want to freeze in a knoll and scent a rat with it.
Okay.
So if you ever see me like feed the hognose, sometimes I scent that with tuna. So tuna is going to give off a scent that's much like a frog, which is what they eat in the wild mostly. You know, little toads. So
could you do that with the gray-banded king snake?
I'm not sure. You'd probably use a knolls. I'm not sure. You can probably use tuna.
And how long would you have to do that until you are weaning off, or you just?
There's no saying you may have to do that for the whole life of the animal. But Palmetto Coast Exotics was saying that there's a good amount of variation between the corns in the Barrier Islands down here in South Carolina. So
really, okay.
You know, they're in South Carolina. Obviously, the most popular wild caught corn is going to be the Okatee.
That is not obvious
which is
to the rest
obvious.
of the. That's so not, it's like, I don't know that. Like, it's not obvious at all. Okay.
So the Okatee, and that's from the Okatee Hunt Club, which is in South Carolina.
Is that where you got? Is where you think yours came from? Didn't yours the guy you got from was South Carolina?
Well, now Okatee is sometimes just used for all the animals that have, you know, thick banding.
Oh, so there's a wide
and that
range.
Orange color, that you know, orange background color with some red in between in the pattern. So yeah, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't call it true locality now, and I know it's illegal now to to collect from that area.
Okay.
So
you don't know where yours could have.
But then again, you have Miami corns too, which are going to be obviously in Miami. You have Keys corns, which are in the Florida Keys. The Miamis are going to hold grayish base color and much more red maroon type of like saddle pattern. And then obviously the Okeetees are going to be more orange.
Right.
And then all throughout from New Jersey to Florida,
really,
Louisiana, I mean, there's going to be all different colors. The Slawinski's corn snakes are going to be more gray base color. And then the pattern, it's going to be like a chocolatey brown.
I haven't seen that.
It's not that glamorous looking, but I like it.
Evan said about the gray-banded king snakes, he's going to do a 90-day quarantine, first 4 feedings, lizards, and then start scenting. Have you ever had to do that? Well, with your hognose, what did you do in the beginning?
With my hognose, I did, one of them ate mice right off the bat, so that was fine. And then with the other one, he's dipping it in tuna, and then the tuna scent he took. If you didn't take that, then you may give him a frozen thawed knoll. You may give him a frozen thawed toad. Luckily, here in Texas, we have native wildlife that you can go collect. You know, you can find different lizards. You can find different toads to feed them. But not everyone's so lucky. When I was in New York breeding corn snakes, transfer over the picky feeders because I can't just find a knoll out there. But Palmetto Coast Exotics said that he's about 20 minutes away from Jasper/Okatee County, which I believe it's the Okatee Hunt Club in Jasper County. But he was saying he's about 20 minutes away from there.
But you said it's illegal to go there now?
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not sure I'm sure if you get them right outside of South Carolina, you know, like right outside of the county, I'm sure they look pretty similar. Right. But I mean, you'll find those, especially on islands and stuff, like, you know, just the evolution.
I don't know what this means.
You know, obviously on islands, species are isolated, so they all breed with each other. So that means that mutations happen much faster. Color variation happens much faster. That's why you see all boas that are different colors from a certain island. You see Hog Island boas, which are really small, and then you see other island boas, K-crawl, everything.
How'd you get to an island? South Carolina's not an island. I don't know how you just got to that.
There's little islands off the coast, I believe.
Oh, okay. And are there a lot of Okatees in those islands, you think, or on those islands?
No, I'm saying they're all variable. They're all different.
In each island, right, because they're going to each other. Got it. He said Jasper County. Oh, here, I read that one.
He said they're basically the same, meaning I'm guessing that means pretty much the same base colors. I mean, you're going to think things that are very close to each other
are going to be closer. You know, if they're right there, you might as well.
Right. I mean, it's just environmental factors that have made them that way. So
why did they make it illegal at the club?
Honestly, probably over collecting, but I'm not sure.
Interesting. So again, is our Okeechobee from South Carolina?
I mean,
bred in South Carolina.
I know that our palmettos are from South Carolina.
Okay.
So the palmetto was found in a backyard of someone in South Carolina. That's why it's called palmetto. Meaning like,
God,
South Carolina.
I never made that connection until just now.
Did you really not?
I literally
so.
had no idea. Okay.
Yes, that's why it's called palmetto, or else it should be called fucking fireworks or confetti, right?
Because that's what you associate South Carolina with?
No, because that's what the palmetto looks like.
Oh, okay.
Right? It doesn't look like palmetto trees.
It looks like confetti. Yes.
Right.
Okay. But we don't get that color confetti.
Right.
But yeah, okay. Makes sense because it's found in South Carolina. Palmetto. Got it. And he just found it in his backyard. And
it's not like, I think someone found it and then somehow got in touch with Don Soderbergh, who is here in Texas.
Oh.
And he knows like that's one of the biggest corn snake breeders. He may buy this for a good price. So he said, hey, I found this corn snake in my backyard. You want to buy it? I'm sure he paid a lot of money to.
But if the guy didn't know what it was, I'm sure he didn't know how high to charge
what a palmetto is. I mean,
but if you just found it in his backyard, seen it before.
It must have been someone that was, a little cognizant of something because
if it was just a random, blow Joe, that's not the expression.
But I mean, I guess if you blow Joe,
that's not the expression.
I think it's Joe Blow.
Joe Blow?
Yeah.
Got it. Oops. If it's a random Joe Blow, he wouldn't know, what to charge or what, to do with it other than just.
Yeah, if you're a decently smart human being who can use Google, though, I'm sure you can find out that someone's willing to pay.
But if it had never been found before, how were you going to Google it? You just don't know. Okay, so he gave it to Don something
Soderbergh.
And what did he do?
And then he, bred it to a normal, got the hets, and then bred it back, and then got the palmettos.
Then kept going.
Yeah.
Wow. Lucky man finding in his backyard.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of everyone's dream is to find, an animal in the wild, and yeah.
He said, "Oh, we already read that."
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was something new.
And also, I mean, Ian said that it sounds better on Facebook's than it did in the past, so it's because of the new room. So Instagram's a little bit closer to us. That's why we're able to actually read.
I mean, still got lean a little bit, but not much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's not a tree tapestry in the back though anymore.
You have a nice mirror showing the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're actually going to talk about our topic now.
Yeah.
Back to choosing. Well, you talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Choosing when.
And I think that's pretty reasonable, right? Just choose the best snake to get the best outcome.
Yeah, but you were just like, oh, I like how that looks also.
Right.
Is that what defines the best snake? You like how that looks?
I mean, you know what people are going to like in certain genes. You know that people who like pied-sideds are most likely going to like ones that creep further up the side and are going to be as red as possible. Blood red pied-sided, red as possible. So you want that contrast. So that's what you're looking for in the product. That's what I like too, though. So everyone likes that for the most part. So it's an easy choice on my end.
What did they say?
Alan Burns says, so what are we talking about in this part of the woods?
Well, we're kind of talking about various things, but
yeah, we're just talking about like choosing to buy a certain snake or a different gene to bring into your collection, how, you want to wait until you can pick the finest example of that gene.
But that's only if you're like a person who's really into breeding. If you're
getting a pet, then yeah,
well, not necessarily a pet, but like all the people who are buying them now, even though the snakes are kind of runts now, I don't think all the people who are buying them now are like faulted. I don't think they're going to have a bad experience with it. Not everyone is necessarily looking for the best of the best. What?
Oh no, I was just messing around with your mic. But yeah, I mean, but I think that you should. Not everyone is, but I think that you should. I mean, when it comes to money, you know that expensive the snake, mostly the better example of the gene is going to be, or the species
right.
is
And
going
again,
to
back
be.
to money. Everyone doesn't have that money.
But what I'm saying is save for like an extra month and wait the appropriate time to get the pick of the clutch.
And so when are those blood reds? When are you expecting them to be out or on sale?
Yeah, like I said, like 30 days or so.
So at the end,
I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to get going when. I want to see the whole clutch before
you choose. But you also, the hard part is whole clutch with the ones that the guy's keeping taken out and the ones that he's given his friends taken out.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's left? The best that is left out of all of that.
Right. You have a smaller thing to choose from, but so does everyone. That's not his friend or him.
Yeah.
And so then how after that? So the blood red, is that something you just happened to see that you wanted, or you had a plan that before you saw his, that you wanted that?
I had a plan that's definitely one of the more popular morphs as far as corn snakes go. And I like it. And everyone else likes it. I mean, that's it. I mean, the first thing I'm going to do is buy whatever I like. And the second thing is going to buy whatever I can sell likes. Also. So I don't want to produce anything that I can't sell. The best at doing something, one particular gene, than, just sell a bunch of mediocre animals and not be able and have to hustle to sell those.
Right.
I'd rather them sell themselves.
Also, you don't have the space to have a bunch of, you'd rather focus on the more expensive or focus on a better one and work on that one rather than, you don't have the space to have 60 plus snakes right now just chilling.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Palmetto Coast Exotic said, to him, it boils down to you can breed whatever you want, but don't be surprised if they don't sell. So it's like you can't everyone to want your, normal corn snakes. Like you bred them just to breed them, but then you're like, what do I do with these?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're not going to sell. No one, at this point.
Ball pythons, if you're doing a ball python, someone's going to buy those.
No, but you're selling them for like $10 normals at this point.
So
you're just trying to get rid of them. Yeah, you're spending money to create them, which is nice, but for some reason, also the cheaper animal, the less money people are willing to spend on the standard of living for the animals. So
repeat that. You just confused me.
Meaning, like, if you do your higher value animals are going to actually go to people who are more experienced for the most part.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Meaning that just not a regular person is ready to drop $500 on an animal.
Right.
That's going to be someone who already has animals and is going to breed them. So it's going to be a different game when you're selling just to a person getting a pet. You're putting in so much more effort to help that person along, and then also put in the risk that you're putting your animal at risk that
it's going to hands.
An experienced keeper. So it's almost so much easier just to get high dollar animals that are great examples, because it will ward off, the price will ward off a lot of the people low level problems. But then again, it's also good to help people along like that.
You have to have those people who do that, because then the low level people will never become
but you can't about having to go through all the steps, to do that, meaning explaining it, how to keep the animal, how to do all
you
that.
Set yourself up for that. Right, you have to be ready to do that.
Right.
Evan said, sell to owners of king cobra
which is honestly what a lot of big breeders do. They either freeze borns or even normal, some byproduct.
Really,
they sell to people who have king cobras
to eat snakes. Really? Yeah. I mean, I guess it's making more money, but
I mean, they have to eat. King cobras have to eat.
Right, so you can give them your normals that you don't sell.
It's not what I'm trying to do, but,
but it's a way to make money.
It's a way to do it if you want to.
He said, which is fine if you're okay with it. Yeah. You're not trying to do that right now.
That's personal discretion, though. No one's saying that a mouse's life is any better than a snake's life. That's just a personal distinction that we're making.
It feels weirder when it's, I don't know, at least to me, that when it's the same
why do we
animal.
Eat chicken and pigs and,
but okay, but it sounds
we start
worse.
Eating horse, like,
but it
no
sounds,
way.
But it sounds way worse for us to eat another human than us to eat chicken and pigs. If like snakes eating snakes is weird to me because it's the same animal. It's weirder to me. I don't know why. And so I think that's why I wouldn't be okay with it, because it's the same animal.
Right.
And so like humans eating humans, cannibalism.
Right. But the distinction of that is because we don't eat.
What are you doing?
I don't know why I'm moving my fucking hands so much
today.
I'm just fucking pounding it on the desk. I'm gonna.
Sorry, you're just doing this weird finger thing.
Yeah, but what the hell was I talking about?
I'm sorry. Distinction.
So we don't. I did it fucking again. We don't eat other human beings because there's more diseases that can be passed between humans.
They're not more diseases.
There are cannibal tribes, but
are there not more diseases that can be passed between snakes to snake?
There's a certain disease that can be passed from, I believe it's the brain matter of humans, to where you get mad cow disease because that's from cows that were fed feed from ground up cows. So it's like they ground up cows, put it in the feed and feed it to other cows. And then that's how they get mad cow disease.
So, okay. Is it possible for snakes to get a disease from
no, because snakes? They're natural snake eaters. Most snakes, many snakes.
So their bodies are made for that.
Right. I mean, I fucked up once and I was closing the bin on a baby corn snake. Like I had like 13 baby corns in there. So they're all trying to get out at the same time. So I closed it and then one like shot out right as I was closing it. So like, unfortunately I closed them in the tub and
and you killed him.
I didn't kill him, but it wasn't going to be something that I wanted to raise up. So I had to give him to the king snake.
Okay.
So, I mean, that kind of thing happens, but like the king snake is
normal. It's fine with eating it.
Right.
Another little corn.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a good way to. I would rather feed that corn to the king snake than raise that corn up and have it be
something wrong with it or something.
Yeah, like a barely viable animal. As far as I've seen way too many animals with like metabolic bone disease and stuff to where
why would people raise
people
them
are
up?
Rescuing it, but I don't know if that's a great quality of life.
Why raise something that's so, I don't know what the word is, like so diseased that it's quality of life? So why do people even do it?
Just something they don't that's so disfigured that it's can barely even hunt for its own food. I don't think that that's a great.
Do they just quality of rescue because they don't like killing things and so they just?
Yeah, I mean a natural nurturing thing, but I think that goes for every animal.
Right, it makes sense, but at some point
but people want to save every dog, every animal out there, but sometimes I think it's more humane to actually euthanize the animal than to keep it alive.
Are there diseases that snakes can get from rats and mice? Like if your rat is sick, can that snake get that?
Or... For sure. I don't know what it is. I mean, most things don't pass warm-blooded to cold-blooded, but there's definitely some things, especially if you're looking at like mites or parasites.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Otherwise, I'm not really sure. I wouldn't be the best.
But not something that could like kill the snake.
I'm sure there's something. I mean, and the most dangerous thing is them hunting the rat in the first place. I mean, just, what do you mean? That's a battle for survival. The snake doesn't always win, versus for the most part in captivity is going to win. But, it's always a certain level of danger feeding a live rodent to a snake, just from biting it, stuff like that. Or if the snake's not hungry and it eating it, like we mentioned before.
Do you think so? As far as like rodent factories, how do they know? Or do you think they ever freeze and sell mice or rats that have any sort of sickness or illness or anything?
I'm sure there's been times. I mean, there's nothing to pin down. I wouldn't be sure,
Right. And so, but you're not quite sure and just hope that it.
Well, for the most part, when you're feeding frozen thawed, you are killing, all types of bacteria or anything that could have been on the rat in the first place.
But like in it, like a sickness.
Yes, they're frozen through, right?
Okay.
I mean, there still could be stuff. And for the most part, we don't know shit about reptile disease and stuff like that.
We've been keeping them for so many years. How can you not know?
Because no one has money to do random research. They're not just throwing money, to do research in snakes. They're like, fuck that. Let's find out what happens when, for pandas or something. They're putting much more money towards that. And they're mostly worried on making, naming reptiles even in the wild out there. They're not thinking of captive,
They have money to go pay people to kill them in Florida, but they don't have money to do research on them.
That's a totally different thing, though. That doesn't. But so they're.
You'd think somebody, I don't know, herpetologists.
Yeah, but there are, but no one's willing to go as far we don't know enough even in humans. We don't know everything.
Right. But
the snake that we have who got a mouth infection from impaction, where the vet just keeps on giving us different antibiotics. Say, does this work? Does this work? Is that fucking scientific? No, he's just fucking shooting in the wind.
So is it that knowing these more about reptile disease will not add enough to the community to justify the cost of researching it? Is that what you're saying?
That's what it seems, right?
The ends don't justify the means.
Yeah, I mean, no one's given a shit yet, so
that's, I don't know. It just feels like something you should know about is reptile diseases, but I guess, I don't know.
You would think, but like it just hasn't come across. I mean, there's just so many things people are trying to get grants for. The last thing someone's going to give up money for, some
study
snake.
them.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's just because it's not enough of snake diseases aren't enough of a problem at this point. That a majority of the things that go wrong with the snakes are like mites and things.
And the only thing people are going to tell you is, your snake's going to give you fucking salmonella. That's going to be the only thing that they're going to say. Otherwise, no one knows anything.
Right. And I don't even know how you'd go about researching or just taking dead ones that had the sicknesses.
I mean, there's definitely also part of it is that we could have, taken a biopsy of that infection or whatever, or cut the infection open and chose more invasive measures to figure out what's going on and or treat it. But, try to do antibiotics first. And that's a weird, it's a weird thing about snakes. We just kind of throw antibiotics at anything.
Rather than going in and treating.
Rather than going in and trying to find out, targeting the problem and taking care of it.
They don't go and target the problem because they don't know enough about it. It's like a cycle. It's like you don't try to go handle that one specific problem because you don't know enough about it as a whole.
Yeah, and then you're talking to vets who
go back and forth.
Aren't particularly that conscious about snakes in general. They're just an exotic vet that is qualified to work with snakes, but maybe they don't really give too many shits.
And also they're not being educated about it in their schooling because people don't know about it.
There is a bunch.
So it's like if they did the research, I think it would trickle down, to everything. More vets would know about it. More sicknesses with snakes.
But maybe we have to care about it. Maybe we're the first that have to care about it in order. That what the public wants is usually what reflects in the private sector. Or, if there was a reason, if there was economic need for them to find out what's going on. In other words, if the reptile hobby was big enough to provide such. With cats and dogs, vets are able to make a living just on treating cats and dogs. Right now, vets aren't able to make a living just treating reptiles. So I think that's part of it. There's not as much economic upside to learning more about taking care of reptiles. Why do that when you can just
study
treat cats and dogs? And that's pretty founded at this point, and just, go about your life.
That makes sense.
Vets don't make that much money to begin with. You don't want to have to sacrifice
something else.
Right.
So if more people had reptiles, it might be a different story.
That's what I'm saying. If there was a larger sector of the population that kept reptiles, then I think it would be more reasonable to do more research to find out what's going on.
Where do people bring, this is going to be a dumb question, but where do people bring like their alligators and stuff?
It's the same thing. It's sick?
They bring it to just a regular vet?
It's all lumped together.
Just a regular old vet. You go take your huge ass alligator in.
I mean, obviously you want someone who's going to be experienced.
Okay, but that person isn't everywhere or most places.
Right. What do you want to, I mean, where there's zoos, there's vets that take care of the animals at the zoo. So like
you can bring it to the zoo?
Yeah, like when I was in Syracuse, I used the vet that the zoo also used.
Okay.
I'm not sure who does it. There may be someone specifically for the Dallas Zoo here that doesn't have a private practice. I'm not sure, but for the most part, I mean, an exotic vet is going to, you want someone who works on all those animals. But
that would make sense to see who the zoo.
There's just more research involved trying to pick your vet carefully if that's your thing.
He said the demand isn't high enough for research. There's just not enough reptiles for people to learn. People don't keep enough reptiles for
it to be profitable for anyone
to learn more about it.
Yeah,
which is just
goes for anything now. There has to be money in something for people to care. I mean, that's why U.S. ARC works. That's why, retics, we were able to get them across state lines again, because there's economic upside
benefit to it.
Yeah.
But not about learning more about disease. Now, do you think well, no, because that'd be about venom. Well, if more people were getting bit by snakes, there would be a lot of other consequences that would happen. But do you think
they would venom learn research more? Is already a prevalent thing because humans are involved. There is a high stake at that point because other humans care about humans first.
But I guess the diseases wouldn't be transferred to humans, so it wouldn't. That's why they don't.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with disease. Mind. Yeah, you're more worried about the venom.
The venom. So venom research is very well documented and extensive.
Right.
Okay. Are vets trained in that? In all various types of...
No. You want to go to a regular medical doctor because that's involving humans.
Duh, that was a dumb question. Sorry.
But I mean, there are even some vets out there that are more catered towards treating. Like in Southern California, there's like a world famous vet who does, all venomous bites, stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. So there are more specially trained doctors because, that's.
Is there why in Southern California? I feel like that I would expect it in like Florida. I wouldn't expect it in Southern California.
Yeah, I mean, Southern California, there's going to be Mojave rattlesnakes.
Oh, all those dead. That makes sense. And stupid people keeping those. And getting bit by
keeping them in the wild.
Oh, and getting bit out there, getting bit by them. Got it.
I mean, there's Mojaves as well as, why the hell am I forgetting the other rattle? Oh, it makes me feel stupid.
I'm not the person to ask.
Something Pacific rattlesnake.
Let's go with that. Something Pacific rattlesnake. Blank Pacific rattlesnake.
Godfather's Exotics said getting new mics. I guess he probably saw before when we were just talking when everything broke and we just talked into the computer.
Getting high tech. Well, we had
mics. You had yours. She still can't talk into the mic.
Shut up. I move my hand a lot. Yeah. Well, so you use
so do I, but I use my other one.
Yeah, but now we both have these.
Wrapper.
My arm gets tired.
That's why I got an arm.
Oh yeah, because you have a fancier chair. Yeah. So don't shit on me when you have better stuff. Whatever.
That's gonna. Oh my God, what is that? That rattlesnake.
You can't think of the other rattlesnake's name.
Yeah. Keep on talking.
You're gonna Google it. I have no idea what another rattlesnake's name could be, and it's only found. I don't know why I want to say
Southern Pacific rattlesnake, but that may not make sense.
Is it only found in Southern California, or is it other places too?
I believe it's mostly just found in Southern California. I mean, not just, but
mostly there. Are you right?
I think that may be right. Southern Pacific rattlesnake.
Southern Pacific rattlesnake, and then the Mojave,
which is found southwestern California and south into Baja California and Mexico.
What word did you say?
What?
In the Baja?
Into Baja, California. Baja is a part of California.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
So
this just really confused me for a second.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mojave rattlesnakes, they have a venom that's going to be both neurotoxic as well as hemotoxic. So it's going to attack your nervous system as well as attack your flesh. So
fuck.
So neurotoxic means that just like in a lapid, which is going to be most of your cobra species, coral snakes, it's going to shut down your senses, and just the blood flow to your brain, and you're going to lose sight. You're going to lose sight of smell.
But it has the word neuro in it. Brain.
Yeah.
Got it.
But I'm just explaining further. So you're going to lose your sense of smell. You're going to get real dizzy. You're going to get real high. You're going to be like on a trip is basically.
But a trip you don't want.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna feel decent. It's gonna feel decent, but you may die. You're probably gonna die because you're gonna lose motor function, walking, seeing, smelling, all that stuff, and then hemotoxic is going to be attacking your blood, and it's going to be have a heavy necrotic effect. So it's going to, from the site of the bite, your skin is going to start pretty much eating. It's going to eat away your skin. So that's why you see a lot of people who handle rattlesnakes, a lot of the, stuntmen, stuff like that. They're maybe missing some fingers, maybe missing a leg, something like that. So, yeah, that's going to be.
Does Tom Crutchfield have rattlesnakes?
From the necrotic effect. He has both. He has rattlesnake as well as a lot of elapids. He has a bunch of cobras.
Has he ever gotten bit?
I believe he got bit through a bag by a snake.
Okay, so there's a layer of protection between him.
No, it doesn't matter. The fang still comes through and it's still injected venom into him. But
he doesn't do any sort of self-envenomation like the other.
No.
I didn't think so. He's more regular in the venomous snake keeping.
Yeah, I mean, he just tries not to get bit. I think that should be everyone's.
If you're going to keep venomous ones, yeah, let's try not to get bit. Just
try not to get bit. That's pretty much it.
And if you do, go find someone who knows about snakes.
If you're keeping venomous, you should probably keep any venom on, in your place.
On deck?
On deck, yeah.
Where do you get that from?
It's very expensive. That's the whole thing.
Do you get that from just a
regular
medical
Texas,
doctor?
I mean, crow fab's probably everywhere because they're native. But if you're in a different state that doesn't have native species, you're probably fucked.
Really? You can't buy antivenom?
No, you can. I'm just not sure where. I'm not sure what. But like from what I've seen on like YouTube and through videos and stuff like that, some people have their own. I'm not sure exactly how you get it.
Why is it so expensive?
Because you're taking venom, you're injecting it into a horse, then you're extracting the white blood cells out of the horse, which is the antibodies that fight the venom, and then you're putting it into a human.
So just the process is very intense.
Yeah,
okay.
You need to half kill a horse in order to get the fucking thing. I believe they also do it in like sheep or something like that, but mostly horses.
Okay, interesting. Who does that? What medical
companies? But I mean, the people who extract the venom are going to be like the Kentucky Reptile Zoo, or there's one down in Florida. There's a bunch of people who are extracting venom. Then they send it. They actually put it in a how do you call that thing?
The thing where
centrifuge,
where
to like detach the proteins of the venom or whatever, and then they send it off to different labs to run those tests or create antivenom.
So do they keep antivenom at like local hospitals or?
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine places that they also fly them in from different places. Like there's in Miami, there's a a stock of different venoms to put towards when people get bit, stuff like that.
Okay, well that makes sense, especially in Florida.
Yeah,
they're just so prevalent.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of prevalent venomous snakes, stuff like that. So they always kind of have that, and I mean, they have a helicopter on duty if someone gets bit, to go from Miami to wherever, and you can be in a different state.
Do you bring the person to the venom or bring the venom to the person?
Bring the venom to the person. Venom is a little bit lighter, but you do have to keep it always refrigerated at times. That's why where snakes are most prevalent, especially venomous snakes, and people are outside the most, probably Africa and India, which is the exact place where they have trouble keeping it cold.
Right.
So they may have any venom for an Indian cobra somewhere, but they don't have in remote locations, they don't have refrigerators to keep it cold. So
what's the point?
So they just try to use voodoo to survive pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if your venom's not going to work, you got to resort to other means of trying to stay alive.
Start praying.
Right.
And then obviously it's a 50-50 chance whether or not.
In places like India and Africa, they have a much higher percentage of venomous snakes than here. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if that's true, but there's definitely more instance of people encountering them.
Well, that makes sense.
Just less habitat fragmentation, and then they are currently growing, so you probably have people living in places where there weren't anyone previously, so there's probably more of this wildlife in general. So yeah, I mean, snakes are pretty skittish. They're not trying to fuck with anyone, but
if you come in contact with them,
right, and people who are outside most of the time, unlike us, we're almost never outside. Right.
So there's not research on like the place that has the most venomous snakes?
I'm sure. Or
just not that
I mean, Australia, everything's kind of venomous. But then again, that also comes into how many people, where the most venomous snakes and spiders are, how many people are there. If you're in Central Australia, there's pretty much no one there. But that's where all the dangerous animals are.
So you would also need to know it's not important statistic if no one's there. If there's a lot of venomous snakes.
Right. It's where are humans going to encounter venomous snakes is what's important.
Which is in those countries like Africa and India, right?
Right. Because I mean, you have people in the bush living, hunting animals.
Not
for
like
a living.
Australia where there's no one in there.
Right.
Very interesting.
I mean, there's indigenous people, but they're mostly on the coast. Like,
are they included in the statistics?
I don't know.
I feel like they're in a different.
They're in Australia. There's a weird thing where they're not really even included in the law because they're able to hunt and fish whatever they want. So, because you don't want to encroach on their way of life. But then again, you have things like dugongs. Dugongs are basically, imagine an Australia version of a manatee. So you've seen videos of manatees. They're just fucking slow and clumsy, and they'll just come up to you.
Right.
So dugongs are kind of the same way, but the Aboriginal, they eat them. So you can imagine how easy it is to kill a dugong and
2 miles an hour.
So people are trying to get that passed, at least just to protect the dugong, because it's obviously dwindling in numbers because they're so easy to kill. Just like the buffalo.
But are those dugong only in the area of the indigenous people?
I believe it's widespread as far as the indigenous people are widespread.
Oh, okay. I thought they were very localized in one area.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I know that, one of their biggest threats is going to be the indigenous people.
Right, to their life. But I don't know. I guess if the indigenous people haven't been affecting the rest of the world's life and stability. There's a bug. Sorry.
Right.
But can Australia impart laws on the indigenous people if they
Currently,
haven't before?
They can't. Yeah, and they meant for that to be a thing.
To continue.
Right. In a way, we kind of have a similar thing because
Native Americans.
You go on a reservation, you can smoke in the fucking what do you call it? The casino. And all that.
Think of the name casino?
Yeah, I don't know why. Okay. But meaning, they make their own rules, right?
That's why most of the casinos are on. Because you can't. Isn't it a law you can't have a casino on land,
right?
Unless it's on a reservation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be like on water or something like that.
I don't know.
There's something.
Yeah, that's exactly why they have them there, and they're.
But I feel so. There's laws. There's some laws that are imparted on it.
No,
we don't know.
I don't know.
Let's understand. How do Native Americans feel about snakes?
I believe just like all nature, they're probably somewhat respectful.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, but then again, they also, they hunt large amount of buffalo, but
for specific not just for
they
play.
used to they used to do cliff jumps, which is like, I believe they also did it with like mammoths and stuff, but they would force the herds of buffalo off of a cliff in order to kill them. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
So they would just surround the buffalo and push them off into the point to where they're just going to fall off the cliff and die. So that's why they would find, lots of remains in one spot, because that was an easy way of hunting. If you're using small spears and stuff like that,
you're not going to kill them.
Maybe difficult to fuck with some bison. So just get them to all jump off a cliff.
Wow. But why would the bison even be scared?
And then there's not enough. There's just not enough people to eat, put all that meat into, to use.
What?
There's not enough people to eat all those bison.
So they're just hanging out once they
so they just rot. Yeah.
Well, fuck, so then why do it if it doesn't? Oh, because it meets the supply you have or the demand you have.
They need to eat.
But that's not a thing that happens now, right?
No.
No,
we have much better methods.
That's still a thing.
No.
That's very interesting. Okay, we are so far off topic.
Yeah, that's true.
But I feel like you said...
Well, it doesn't matter. We're just talking.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like you said all you had to say on selective buying. It was just mainly about the blood red and waiting till you get the best one.
Yeah, it applies to every snake.
But that also affects like growing your collection immediately. Or
right.
I think that's what makes becoming a snake breeder such a long game is, you have to wait till it's ready to hatch. You have to wait till they're ready to breed and incubating and all that kind of stuff. It's
and your best move financially, business wise, is going to be getting recessives.
Why?
Because the price is going to drop
to be
less,
cheaper.
and less people are going to breed recessives and be around long enough to bring that to fruition. So if you're breeding multiple recessive genes, you're going to be the first one to breed all those, because not too many people are willing to wait the time to keep on breeding recessive het to het to het
till it comes out.
So yeah, and they're honestly usually in pretty much all the species, recessives are like some of the coolest genes. Like
once it actually
like albinism is almost always recessive.
Really?
Like pied is always recessive. You know,
so
leucism's usually a super form of a codominant gene. So the coolest things are made by recessives.
But people want to get the stuff that they know.
People want the visual recessive, but they don't necessarily want to wait the time to breed it out.
Right. They want to see what it looks like, but they want to buy it with them. They
don't want to do the work to produce it first. But once someone does produce it, they're like, "Holy shit,
I love
that's
this!
Cool.
It's awesome!" Right. But like you said, money-wise, you're gonna pay less if it's not visual.
Yeah, if you buy two hets. So I mean that's what I do with palmettos, obviously, but
and then you're gonna breed them together to pull it out.
Yeah, and I mean I'm willing to, once I get visuals, start breeding them back to hets. You know, to make hets. So I'm gonna make, you know, probably het stripe, het snow, het palmetto. So it's just going to be a normal corn snake, but under all that normalness is going to be het snow, het stripe, maybe a visual tessera, het palmetto. So there's going to be more things in it. Yeah. But who knows what palmetto is going to look like with other genes in it, if it's going to be worth it. But
because the palmettos that, what's his name again? Don
Soderberg.
He just did palmettos to a normal.
Well, yeah, because he only had one palmetto.
Right, but he could have bred it to some other. He didn't have to breed it to a normal.
Yeah, but what you're doing is diluting your project, because you want to make sure you don't want to put a bunch of genes in it to begin with. What you want to do is breed it to like a wild caught normal or something like that. Just something as normal could be, because corn snakes, even ball pythons at this point, they may be hiding all types of hets
that you don't know.
Right. So you want to make sure that you're doing something that's going to be definitely pure, so that you can find out, is this codominant? Is this recessive?
So when starting with a new one, how far down the line or down like the generation do you want to wait till you start mixing it with other
You want to see that if you took that palmetto to a normal wild caught female, if it's a male, you know, and you get all normals, then you say, let me breed those normals back to each other, and one of those normals to the male,
to the dad,
to the male. Yeah. So one of those babies to the male.
Oh, it's weird.
No, it's all right in snakes. And then see if we make a palmetto.
To see
if we don't, then that was just something that randomly popped up, and it's not genetically, you know, something that you can get through heredity. So then your project stops, right? But you want to make sure with the purest of genes that you can reproduce it.
Okay.
So that it just messes with you know, you take away any doubt that it's a certain gene, it's codominant, it's recessive.
So once you breed that baby to the male and you come out and you do get another visual, then is it okay to start mixing it to another gene, or
then,
you still want to
I would you would keep back clutches at this point, and you would have, you know, putting visuals to visuals, making more of those, and then start putting it into other projects and go from there. But, you know, first you just want to establish what the gene is, what it's going to look like at cross, you know, to a normal, you know, everything like that. You just want to make sure that your genetics are on point before you want to sell it to anyone.
You don't want to false advertise what it is.
Yeah, once you sell something as recessive, once you sell it as codom, you want to make sure it is that. You want to make sure, you know, it is what you're selling, and you want to make sure also it's a healthy adult. You want to see it go through
the full
life cycle. You know, you want to see it from a baby to an adult and make sure it breeds. You know, you may have snakes that have wonky things as far as it's a genetic mutation. So there can be plenty of things wrong with
Snapchat, or not Snapchat, Instagram ended.
Yeah, there could be many things that are going on along with the different visual of the snake.
So you're just not sure about.
So it may look visually different, but it also has a smaller vent, like in the desert ball python. It can't lay eggs because its cloaca for some reason is smaller.
What is
reproductive
that word?
System. It's basically it can't pass eggs
because it's too small,
and they get stuck in there and it dies.
Oh fuck!
So you want to make sure that it's only visual, the effects of this genetic mutation. It's not affecting the anatomy of the
anything
snake
else
or anything
that's going
like
on.
that. Yeah,
right.
So you want to make sure everything's kosher before you're fucking with.
So before Don, so I still can't remember his name. Before he started how far before he started selling those palmettos? Like how much?
He's smart. He's been doing this long enough to where I believe he only sold females. So
okay,
your females are going to take longer to get to size. So
he had them for a while before.
So if he sold males, the first males that he sold, they'd breed in a year and the market would go pretty fast. But he sold females, so they're going 2 to 3 years. So he was giving extra time for the market to, to make just the hets. It would take you, 3 years. So so the market didn't flood immediately.
Right.
If you have things like if you sell a bunch of people males, then they'll breed that male this year to every one of their females. Sell 1 million hats,
and they could also fuck a bunch of shit up,
and price drops immediately. So, in order to protect the project, that's the best.
Do you know which like generation? So he got the palmetto from the guy. He bred it to a male, had babies, bred one back to the male, and then did he sell that clutch?
Oh, I have no idea.
You don't know how many times he went back and bred before he sold the clutch.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I can imagine that second time he probably held some back and probably sold a couple.
That's when he
ended up selling the whole project to Travis Whistler. He sold the whole project, to someone that worked for him.
So now he's the palmetto guy.
So now he kind of got out of it. I think just because that's probably a lot for someone who's ready to like pseudo retire.
To start such a new big thing.
Yeah. So I think he just kind of got the money and kept on going and just works with more normal.
So if you found a new species if you found a new, what's the right word? Morph to say? Is that the right word?
Or mutation,
morph in your backyard, you would breed it to one, breed the baby back, and then you'd be okay with selling it.
Breed it to a normal.
Breed it to a normal, have the babies, breed one of the babies back to that normal, and then you would be okay with selling that next one.
Right, because even it may be incomplete dominant. So if you breed that to a normal, then it comes out showing that mutation. So
when you breed it back to the dad.
Right.
I like saying dad.
So it could be either or, but and then if it comes out all normal, then you're hoping that when you breed that normal back to the visual that you're going to get a visual, then that means it's recessive. So that's why you take that normal step, because you breed it to a normal because you want to make sure it's incomplete dominant or recessive.
So as far as breeding snakes, there's no concern of like inbreed, like mixing any sort of.
Some are more prevalent on some species, but then again, if you're looking in the wild, most of those animals, there's even some species on islands that you can imagine that they're all interbreeding. Right. I mean, it's probably not my favorite move. If you don't have to, then don't do it. But
what would the concerns be?
But at this point, every pastel ball python is related somewhere down the line to another pastel ball python. It's
been mixed and all that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah. So it's like they're all related at some point. I mean, we haven't seen many negative effects of it yet, but once you start compounding all these genes, who knows what happens?
You're going to cross levels and lines and all that.
Right.
But why would you said it's not your favorite thing to do. What would your concerns about it be?
No, nothing. I'm saying if you can avoid it, do it. But also, if you're trying to get a certain specific look in a certain project, that's what you do. Yeah.
Lines. That makes sense.
Yeah. So just depends.
Okay. Went a little over an hour.
Yeah.
Not bad. I'm hungry.
You're hungry?
Yeah.
What I have to do is I actually have to finish the YouTube video. So what I'm going to do is I already filmed the YouTube video.
What?
And
the vlog.
Right.
Yes, you have to finish the vlog.
Yeah, so if anyone is listening, it's available on iTunes, Stitcher, all that good stuff.
And on Facebook, you can always go rewatch it later. And on
on YouTube,
you can go rewatch it. But
yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that you can download it on iTunes and Stitcher if you're watching live.
What do you search? Because it's something like specific on iTunes.
Yeah, if you put like from the ground up Reptile, then that will be your best shot.
How you find it on iTunes.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you want to see our lovely faces, watch it on Facebook or YouTube.
So I'm going to do the outro for YouTube on YouTube because I didn't film it. I uploaded the footage already.
But you didn't do an outro?
But I didn't do an outro on the camera.
So you're going to do it
So I'm going to do it right now.
And then clip this video to put on the outro for the vlog?
So we're going to do that like right now.
Okay. What is the outro?
Like right now.
Okay, what is it?
So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. And if you made it this far,
I'm not saying that.
You're on the team. So thank you guys for listening. We will catch you next week.
Yep.
For some show that we have
at 5 o'clock again. We made it
live
2 weeks in a row.
5. I know we're always kind of surprised when we make it to 5, but now we're going to be doing it consistently. Now we have a room that is fucking set up every single time that we want to do the podcast, so it's easy. You just turn on everything.
Thanks, Ryan Donahue.
Yeah.
For moving and letting us use your room.
Right.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. No, you got to bring up the Google Hangouts page and stop the broadcast.